Hello, it's Paige Green at Paige Green's Tutoring, and today we're going to be having a look at expanding double brackets. Now, for this, I'm going to show you 4 different examples and then let you have a go at 4 that we'll go through together. So, then, for this first one, we use what we call a grid method to expand double brackets. So, I'll show you how we're going to set that up. So, we use 2 lines like this, and we put our little multiply there to show that we're multiplying these together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first bracket and I'm going to put the 2 terms at the top. So I've got an x and I've got a +4. And I'm just going to split those up. And then I'm going to take my second bracket and pop it down the side. So I've got an x and a +2. And again, I'm going to split that. Now I'm just putting the positives there because when we get onto the negatives, as you'll see in a minute, it does get a little bit harder. So it's good to kind of get into the habit of putting those positives and negatives there. So now we're going to go through and expand. So for this first one, I've got x times x. So that is x squared. For this one, I've got an x here and a 4 above it. So it's going to be 4 times x, which is 4x. This one I've got an x above it and a 2 to the side, so it's x times 2, which is 2x. And then at the end I've got my 4 above it and my 2 to the side here, so that gives us 8. So what you'll be able to see here, in each of the boxes, you're looking what's above and right to the side of it. Okay, so check in which one of these things you're multiplying together. Now, that's not our final answer. What we need to then do is write it out in a line. So I've got x squared, I've got +4x, +2x, +8. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight my like terms. So I've got x squared, I've then got 4x and 2x, they're like terms, and then I've got my 8 at the end. So if I simplify this down, I've just got an x squared, 4x add 2x is 6x, and then I've got my 8 at the end like that. Let's have a look at another example where we've got a positive and negative this time. So I'm going to set it up exactly the same, starting my grid with a little times. And then I'm going to take the first bracket, which is an x and a +6. And then I'm going to take my second bracket, which is an x and a -3. And you can see I'm splitting it up each time. Now remembering, when we're going through and multiplying, we're looking what's above it and to the side of it each time. So I'm just going to do it backwards just so you can see how it works again. So I'm going to do 6 times -3. Now 6 times -3 is -18. Here I've got x times -3, so that's -3x. Here I've got 6 times x, which is +6x. And then at the end I've got x times x, which is x squared. Now again, I'm not finished there. I need to write it out in a line first. I've got x squared +6x -3x -18. Again, I'm just going to highlight the like terms. So I've got an x squared, I've got a 6x and a -3x, and I've got a -18 at the end. So if I simplify that down, I've got an x squared +6 take away 3 leaves me with a +3x. And then I've got -18 at the end like that. So these two here is our final answer for that, expanding and simplifying. We're going to have a look at another example now where we've got 2 negatives involved. Now the process that we're doing stays exactly the same. We're setting up that grid method and splitting the terms. And you'll notice again, I'm just including those signs so it's really clear. This time I'm going to pick a few random squares to do just so you can see how it's working. So we've got -2 times x, which is -2x. We'll go for this one. So we've got -7, sorry, times x, which is -7x. We'll do this one here. X times x is x squared. And the final one, we've got minus 2 times minus 7. Now, two negatives times together to give us a positive. So that's going to be positive 14. Now, before we finish, we've got to write it out as a line. So I've got x squared minus 2x minus 7x plus 14. Going to go through, highlight my like terms. So I've got an x squared, I've got a minus 2x and a minus 7x, and then I've got a positive 14. So if I simplify this, I've got an x squared, minus 2 take away 7 leaves me with minus 9x, and then I'm adding on 14. Now our final example is going to look at when I've got a coefficient of the x. So it's just slightly trickier in terms of our multiplying, but again, method stays exactly the same. I'm going to split the two terms at the top, so I've got 2x and I've got a plus 4, and then here I've got a 3x and a minus 2. So when I'm doing this, I'm going to do 3x times 2x. Now, 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared. So I'm going to get 6x squared like that. The rest of it saying pretty much straightforward now. So 4 times 3x, so we've got 4 lots of 3x, which is 12x, minus 2 times 2x leaves me with minus 4x, and then minus 2 times 8 gives me a negative 8 at the end there. So let's see what happens when we write this out as a line. So we've got 6x squared, we've got positive 12x, a minus 4x, and a minus 8. Now when we collect the like terms, so I've got here I have 6x squared, and then I've got a positive 12 and minus 4x, and then at the end I've just got my little minus 8 there. Oh, change colour. So now let's simplify it. So here I have a 6x squared. Now plus 12x minus 4x leaves me with positive 8. And then at the end, I've got negative 8. So that's 4 examples there and showing you different ways that they can come up. What I would like you to do now is have a go at the 4 questions on the screen. Pause the video, have a go, and then we'll go through them. So for the first one then, setting up your grid, you should have got something that looks like this. So you should have got x squared plus 6x plus 5x plus 30. And then when you write it out as a line, you'll notice that you'll be able to simplify in the middle. So you should have got x squared plus 11x plus 30. So that's your answer to your first one. Your second one again, when you're setting up the grid, it should look something like this. So you've got x squared plus 11x minus 8x, and then minus 8 times 11 is minus 88. So just making sure on that one, all your negatives and positives are correct. So writing out in a line, you've got this, and you can simplify the middle. 11x minus 8x leaves me with 3x. And then you've got your minus 88 there. So that's your answer for the second one. The third one, again, we're not changing the method that we're using here. It's just the numbers that are changing. So x times x is x squared. We've got a minus 9x and a minus 12x. And then minus 12 times minus 9 is going to give us a positive answer. So when we do 12 times 9, we get 108. So it's positive 108. So again, just being really careful with your signs. Writing this out, it should look like this. And we can simplify those in the middle. Now minus 9 take away 12 gives me minus 21x. And I'm adding on that 108. Last one, a bit more of a tricky one because we've got those coefficients involved. Way that we setting up is staying exactly the same. So 4x times 3x, well 4 times 3 is 12, x times x is x squared. 4x times minus 2 is minus 8x. Minus 3 times 3x gives me minus 9x. And minus 3 times minus 2 gives me a positive 6. So again, just being really careful with your negatives here. And that's the main skill that you really need to be aware of for this. So if I now simplify this down, in the middle, I'm going to get minus 8 minus 9, which is going to give me minus 17x with my 6 there. So there are all the answers for expanding those brackets. Hopefully that's helped give you a bit of an idea about how to go about different questions around this. What we'll be doing in the next session is we'll be looking at reversing this process. So we'll be looking at going from something that looks like this to back into the brackets. So kind of reversing our answers, which is called factorising. So feel free to tune in for that next video if you would like to figure out how we're working backwards. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.